see the doubt in those eyes.
Okay guys, so today we're going to a place called Murlough Bay in Northern Ireland's north coast. Now, not to be mistaken with the Murlough Beach, which is in County Down just outside Newcastle. This is Murlough Bay, which is up beside Ballycastle. Now, Murlough Bay isn't really widely advertised as a tourist spot. You'll not hear about it on the TV or on the radio or anything like that, because it's so pristine, it's in such good condition, and wanted to keep it that way, which is understandable. I can understand why people don't advertise it. But to get to it, there's very little road signs. You could easily miss it. So you head to Ballycastle, and once you get to Ballycastle, you drive straight through Ballycastle and look for the road signs that say Torhead. So you head for Torhead, following the road signs, and once you get near Torhead, there's a wee sign for Murlough Bay, and you follow that. And the drive down to Murlough Bay is one of the best drives you're gonna get in Northern Ireland. It's steep, it's windy, it's scenery. It's very scenic. There's trees, there's sheep in the middle of the road. It's beautiful. Such a good drive down. So, and hopefully my plan is to get a nice photograph of Murlough Bay, get all the beach in and Torhead in the background with a nice sunset, maybe some nice clouds and colour and stuff. But you know how it goes, the stars need the align in photography to get that portfolio shot. But even if we don't get the portfolio shot, we're going to have great fun anyway, because there's a couple of cliff walks I want to do. You can hike along the top of the cliffs, both directions, and you can hike along the bottom of the cliffs. So let's go find some nice scenery to photograph and document. Take you guys with me, and hopefully we can get a nice photograph at the end of it. So guys, while I was editing this video, I realised that I made a small mistake. In the next part of the video, we'll be walking along the bottom of a cliff face. And I started talking about this cliff face in that area for a wee bit, and I referred to it as Torhead. But I was wrong. It's actually called Firhead. The problem is I was shooting in Torhead a few days earlier, so that's where the confusion came from. Now, Torhead is only a few miles away from Firhead and Murlough Bay, but I was correct about the directions on getting you to Murlough Bay. So what you do is you head to Ballycastle. Once you come off the motorway, you drive into Ballycastle and you drive right through to the other side. You follow the road signs to Torhead. You follow those signs for maybe 2 miles, and you look for the small road sign that says Murlough Bay. Now again, the sign is very small, so you could easily miss it. And later on in the video, I do call it Torhead again once or twice, but I catch myself on and I address it in the video. So I'm very sorry about that, guys, but I just wanted to address it here to make sure you knew that you were getting the correct information, just in case you want to visit Murlough Bay or Ballycastle or the surrounding area. And secondly, I ran into a little technical problem with my microphone. So while I was shooting, I didn't realise the batteries had expired, so there is a wee bit of the video that the microphone isn't working correctly, and there's a few gusts of wind which affects the sound quality. So again, I apologise for that. But got new batteries installed and cleaned up the rest of the video, so shouldn't be a problem. And hopefully I'll get no more technical issues for the rest of my videos, and my up and coming videos will be a lot crisper. But I'll let you guys get back to watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Absolutely amazing. Just look at the cliffs there in the background, and just up here behind me, that's Torhead. Firhead, not Torhead. So it is. It's a local tourist spot, local tourist attraction. I was up there earlier on today, having a wee baby. Size of this mushroom. I'll put my hand in there just for reference. It's huge. The guy is absolutely huge. Let's see if I can get a better look at it here. It's massive. Always close the gates behind you guys. When you're out in the countryside, always close the gates. There's livestock all over the place here in Murlough Bay. Now there's another YouTuber I was watching. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He was up in these woods and along the cliffs, and he'd found a few other hidden treasures. And I'm going to try and come back and find another day. But thanks for joining me, and hopefully we get a good photo here. So guys, I've made it down to Murlough Bay. I've been here quite a few times. I love it. It's so secluded. You normally get the beach to yourself, but today there's quite a few people about, which is a bit strange. But it doesn't matter, you know. We got talking to a few of the people. They're lovely people, lovely wee family there behind me. They're in swimming and everything. But as I say, this is Murlough Bay here. You can see the whole beach in front of me here. And look in the distance there, you've got Firhead in the distance. I've been calling it Torhead, my mistake. I went to Torhead previously, it's further back that way. This is Firhead, not Torhead. But you still follow the road, as I say, you follow the road to Torhead until you see the sign for Murlough Bay. But let's do a wee beach walk here, see what we see. As you can see, it is absolutely beautiful. Just look at the backdrop behind me, look at the scenery all around me. It's lovely, and see, I don't know if you guys can see this behind me, if you can just see over my shoulder here in the distance, that's actually Scotland. If you take the scenic drive, the Torhead scenic route, it drives you back up over this headland, and it brings you to a point where Scotland and Northern Ireland are only 12 miles apart. You could almost reach it and grab it with your hands. I'll maybe bring you down. If I have time today, I'll go down with the camera and get a wee video of it. But I'm going to set myself up somewhere here. I got to pick a composition. I'm thinking maybe in behind these rocks somewhere elevated. So if I can get the rocks, the beach, the green, and then the Firhead in the distance, if I can get that all into my shot, I'll be pretty happy. So well, that's my plan, to try and get all this in a sort of picturesque postcard style shot. Once I get set up and get my camera set up ready for sunset, I'll walk you through the settings that I use, what way I compose my shot, settings, ISO, f-stops, things like that, and I'll give you a wee glimpse into my workflow as a photographer. I take a HDR approach, but I don't actually do HDR photography. So I bracket my shots, so I'll get the perfect exposure from the darkest to the brightest parts of the image, and I'll blend them together later in Photoshop to try and get the most perfectly balanced exposure for the photo. But I've a lot of hours to spare, and I already know where my composition is, as I've been here a few times, so I'm just going to have a wee play, have a wee explore, walk around the beach and see what I see, and maybe get some food. But yeah, let's do a wee beach walk and let you get a wee look in and see what the beach is like. Alright guys, so that's my composition that you're looking at right now. I'm hoping I'm going to get some more colour in the sky. Obviously the green there is looking nice with sunlight on it, but as the sun falls that's going to go. But I'm hoping some dramatic skies and some really nice colour. So I'm going to jump over to my GoPro now to show you my setup for my camera for the photo, and I'll walk you through my settings with my ISO, my f-stop. I'll talk a little bit about the rule of thirds and any other settings I can think of on hand. Alright, I'll see you in 5 minutes. So guys, that's me set up to take this photo. I'm going to walk you through some of my settings. Now, I've no microphone on my GoPro, so I apologise that the sound quality isn't that good. And there's a bit of a glare off the screen, off the LCD screen off my actual camera. So it's going to be hard for you to see the settings, but I'll talk you through them bit by bit. So if you look down here, you'll see ISO 200 and f-stop 11. Okay, so ISO 200, and I've set my f-stop to 11, f11. Now the reason I use ISO 200 is as the light starts to diminish, as the sun gets lower in the sky and the light starts to leave us, you'll need a low ISO for a better quality image. The lower light conditions you're working in, the lower you want your ISO. Because think of your ISO as worker bees, cleaning your image up, cleaning all the grain up in your image. If you've ever taken a low light image and it's full of grain, that's because you've got the wrong ISO. So a low ISO will mean less grain in your image. Now there's really bright conditions at the minute. If I wanted to shoot now in these conditions, I'd probably have my ISO set to 4, 6 or 800 because there's lots of light. But as the sun drops behind the horizon, the light fails basically, the light starts to diminish and your image would be really grainy. Now, f-stop f11, there's a sweet spot in your lens where your lens is at its sharpest, and it's usually between f8 and f11. So I always choose f11. I like f11. Sometimes f8, but more often than not f11, because I like a nice sharp image. Now my exposure I always keep in neutral, but what I do is I bracket my shots. So I can't show you on my screen here because there's too much glare. But I'll take my shots from a really low exposure to a really bright exposure, and I'll pick the best exposures from those bracketed shots. So it basically gives you a better set of shots with a better balance of, a better balance of light. You can pick the best shot for the most underexposed area of your image, the best shot for the most overexposed area of your image, the best shot for the best water in your image, and you can merge them together in Photoshop. It's kind of a HDR approach, high dynamic range, but it's not HDR photography. I'm not using clunky software that's going to batch all the images together and make it look dead surreal. I do all of my processing manually in Photoshop. I will take individual images, layer them up in Photoshop, and use the best ones to get the most naturally balanced light throughout the whole image. Other than that, that's pretty much my setup. I also use a trigger release, which means I'm not touching the camera for when it's long exposure, because the lower the light conditions, the longer your exposure. So I highly recommend a trigger release. Now this one I have is a Canon one. It works with the Fujifilm. I've had this for quite a while, but it's never let me down. My camera itself is a Fujifilm X-T2. So as you can see, Fujifilm X-T2. I'm a few generations out of date because COVID came and I had a few personal issues and stuff, put the photography on the back burner for a while. But I'm back at it now and hopefully going to upgrade my kit. My lens that I'm using today is a Fujifilm's dedicated lens. It's a 10-24 extreme wide angle lens. One of the best lenses you can get. Fujifilm glass is the best glass. I don't care what anyone says. Fujifilm's glass, second to none. But that's me set up. So it's just a waiting game now. It's just a matter of time for the light to fall, get the right light, and hopefully, please get that dramatic portfolio shot. I really want a strong portfolio shot because, you know, I'm put the work in. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. And please like and subscribe. Please hit the subscribe button. The more followers I get, the more content I can make and turn this into a job, basically turn this into a career. Thanks for watching the video, and thanks for joining me on this wee mini adventure. I hope you've had as much fun as I've had. But please like and subscribe. The more subscribers I can get and the more followers I can get, the more chances I can get to make these videos and get out into the field and doing the photography. So please subscribe.